Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel conversations. Watching the channel for the first time, I don't know how many that would be this morning, but wow, beautiful day here in the Virginia, Maryland area. Pond's looking great over there. That pond's so nice. Beautiful pond when the lily pads aren't grown in the summer months. And just a beautiful day here. Really, it's cool, a little cool, but nothing radical by any means. Little wind here, but overall, just a really nice Friday. Just hard to believe it's Friday. Time passes so quickly, and you know what? Just beyond believable in life. You know, what direction am I going as I progress in my older years in life as I get older? Yeah. Wow. I'll be turning 60 this year in February. Wow. I remember when I hit the 50 mark, I was like, uh-oh. Yeah, it isn't so much the age as much the way your, I should say it is about the age, but your body starts to change. It's already started. So here I am trying to make a video and can't do it. He's trying to call me. Let me see what's going on. So when I stop this phone, this video's ruined. And nope, I ain't answering that. So anyways, yeah, when I stop this video, my voice doesn't go along with the video. Oh my gosh, just doesn't end. So anyways, yeah, today, what's the direction we're going today? Look at the Maverick. This Maverick is just so nice. It really is. It's just a great vehicle. I'm going to be working out of it again. And it's incredible. My tires were like down to 30 PSI. It's been sitting and put them back up to 30. I went 37, just go a little over because it's a colder year. The tires constantly are changing around. So yeah, I mean, just a Maverick. I actually joined the Maverick Club from another subscriber because that subscriber was telling me they got a Tremor. I didn't know you could get a Tremor Maverick. I'm so like, oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. The Tremor Maverick is just the neatest. I mean, I'm not embellishing here. It's just really looking truck. I mean, I wish I would have ordered one, but it takes forever to get the dang things. All right, let's get the day going here. It's just up to the office, and yeah, what direction is conversation, right? What's the direction? Yeah, you keep on hearing that word, right? The direction. Yeah, actually, that's the theme today, is directions. And you may say, well, why is that the theme today? Well, it's really interesting. I wake up all the time, middle of the night, and I read a really good article on the Wall Street Journal about maps, that the paper maps are back, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. Yeah, you just heard that. The paper maps for the younger generation, probably like, what? Yeah, believe it or not, back in the day, you would use maps like the explorers did to figure out where you were going. I haven't even had a cup of coffee. Wow. Just doesn't end. And now what am I going to do? I'm going to get I've learned from doing this every day, just about, that what happens is, if I turn this video off, then what happens is the whole video is ruined. So if anybody's watched my channel and anybody follows it, you'll see the many days when I actually have videos. You'll see how all of a sudden the video no longer shows my mouth and everything moving correctly. I'm drinking coffee. I usually like to drink or eat in front of somebody on a video. Does anybody else notice that? Anybody else here notice that people will make videos or be on video and they start eating? It's so ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if anybody's watched that or not, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, just so rude. You're sitting there stuffing your face as you're on a live video. I mean, one thing we're going to around your family, but you're just in general, public and stuff. Not so much. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, what spurred my thought? I mean, once again, I had no idea. I borderline wasn't even to make a video this morning. I mean, to me, this isn't some huge YouTube channel. I mean, I don't have a huge following. I don't have huge viewing, but I don't really care. But the whole point is, some days it's like, this takes time out of your day. It takes a lot of work. I mean, believe it or not, to be a YouTube person, to be a really YouTube person, and to really edit all the content, it is so many hours of work. And most people, you really can't do it. I mean, sincerely, anybody out there that has a real job and a real life, if you think you're going to do YouTubing, you're not going to be able to do it because it takes away so much of your time. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I own my own company. My daughter now is more of an age to be able to do a lot of things on her own and take care of herself. And my wife works, and I just have the environment to be able to do this. But I can honestly tell you, if I had 3 kids that were younger, and I had a full-time job, and I get out of bed every day and drive somewhere to be at work every day of my life, and there's no way, man, you're not going to be able to accomplish being a YouTuber. And I'm not saying that you're not super special, that you're going to outdo everybody else and you can do all this stuff. But I'm going to tell you what, you're going to alienate your family because you're not going to be able to spend any time with them. You're going to be constantly fiddling with your device to make videos and edit videos. And if you really want to have really incredible content, you're going to have to spend a lot of time on editing these videos out and the content that you talk about. I mean, it's conservative between making your video and editing it. You're going to spend 2-3 hours a day. I would say very conservative, very conservative. It could be 4 or 5 hours a day. So if you're the superwoman, Superman that can manage 2-3 kids, jobs, all your taking, I used to drive my kid around to sports. It's a running joke to me about how many people, especially women. I'm not calling out women being the only person who can stay home and take care of kids, but I'll just use the woman as the example that drives around her 2, 3, 4 kids to soccer, basketball, lacrosse, whatever, football, baseball, softball. I mean, after school activities, band, who knows? I mean, it's infinite. You have no time. I did this with 1 kid. I didn't have a life. I mean, when I was raising my daughter that you see in my videos, she was involved in, I had her involved in all the sports activities, had her involved in horse activities, had her involved in other activities. What did I do? I lived behind the wheel of a car every day of my life after work, driving her from here to there to there to here. If anybody knows those stories, yeah, you get it. So anyways, just back to me as a YouTuber. I just throw things out there for ideas and, whatever. So, all right. What's the direction I'm going to this damn conversation this morning? I know one thing. I need to get a man. And who's on duty? I got a busy day today. Thank God the weather's right. Oh, my goodness gracious. Get some coffee. And so talking about direction as the theme is because I read about how the conventional good old map that you would have in your car so many years ago to get around is coming back. And it's growing by leaps and bounds. There's like 3 different companies that the Wall Street Journal, I think it's like I can't even remember the name of all these different mapping companies, but they're out there. If you can Google paper maps. But the trend of people wanting the good old paper map over using their phone is a growing trend where people like the regular conventional looking at a map and be able to see what the state looks like or the county looks like or the area they're going to. And what these map makers have done, they've all gotten creative in different ways. They've made like 3D maps. They've made maps that show all the special places to stop and go if you're just going. You buy a map for a certain area of a state to go do something. It'll have all the hot spots and the, different things to go check out if you're going to the park or whatever it may be. The whole point is the whole direction of people relying on their phone is huge. But at the same time, the people that really want the good old days, looking at a regular old piece of paper and mapping out their own way to get somewhere is a growing trend. And once again, because when you go to your navigation on your phone or car, sometimes what'll happen is they'll put you in a route that you don't get to see the scenic route. So that's what they're saying is the mapping with paper. It gives people an opportunity to figure out how they can take a different route and be more scenic than just as far as getting there as fast as possible. And I just thought to myself, wow, directions. Directions, boy, that's such a broad term of where we are in today's society of directions, right? And I think to myself on how the car aspect of things, more than ever, they're saying that they did a study of 20 of the biggest cities in this country, and the study said that 93% of the people that uh, use navigation, basically 93% of the drivers use GPS navigation to get around. And I think, wow, it's incredible how I grew up in the era back in the late 70s and 80s of driving cars, and even the 90s of driving around, and I had to figure out how to get from point A to point B on my own, like everybody else did, with what's called ADC map. This Virginia, Maryland, DC area it was called ADC map. You go to 7-Eleven, and you'd buy a map for the Virginia area or Maryland area or DC area or West Virginia or whatever. They had all types of different maps you have to buy. Then you'd open it up and pull it out, and you'd have to make in your own memory your own little notes of where you're going, or you get a little cheat sheet piece of paper, and you'd have to write down to drive, down Route 66, after 66, and get off exit 32. And once you have exit 32, that's Ox Road, and then Ox Road, you gotta look for Route 50. I mean, so just so many different, things you had to make notes of in a piece of paper. And back then, it was much easier to get lost. I mean, who doesn't know the stories of the husband and wife? The running joke was the husband would drive around for hours without finally pulling over and asking for directions. Yeah, that was a running joke, probably still is, even though you have navigation. But I think to myself, it's incredible on how, for us as individuals, you had to figure out how to get from point A to point B. But yet in today's world, you don't have to really figure that out. You just put an address in, and then a computer tells you how to get there, and maybe gives you a few different options if you don't want to pay tolls or whatever. What's going on here with the morning news? So I think we kind of, even for me, I kind of forget about that. That, boy, oh boy, it was nerve wracking when you would drive around your car and you're going off your own mental notes or scratch piece of paper of trying to figure out where you're going. You didn't know how far up the next, exit was sometimes, due to how the roads are designed. And I just think, wow, that was such more of a task for you as a person to try to process information on your own to figure out how to do things. And even like the cell phones, I think it's incredible how majority of people have no clue what their friend's phone number is because it's just programmed into your phone. Versus when I was growing up, I knew all my friends' phone numbers to their house, basically, right? Maybe even a business, because if you called it often enough, you just knew the phone number, and you had it just stored in your head. But today, not so much. People don't know the phone numbers; they just know names that they look up on their phone to make a phone call. So I just think to myself that it's pretty incredible on how so funny. Oh, it's my computer. It's my printer doing its little cleaning thing. All these noises going on behind me. Anyways, I just think it's pretty incredible how my age group is more of the group of people that you had to kind of like learn things, more so on your own than I think you do today. And I'm not here by any means being critical of anybody younger or anything, but I just think to myself, you yourself had to like process information in your brain to figure out things. But today it's so much easier for you just to say, hey Siri or hey Alexa or whatever, to get answers without you really having to go through great lengths of having to learn how to look things up on your own and then understand what you've looked up. Just like directions, you had to look at a map and you had to figure out where you were. I mean, how many people didn't have that conversation where a guy would pull up next to you in a car and go, hey, where am I right now? Because they're trying to figure out where they're going. So they just first wanted to even figure out where the heck they are. They were so, confused that they got lost. And then you'd sit there and tell a person, oh, you're here and blah, blah, blah. You got to go up the street. And you know, and you even thought to yourself, you're telling them you got to go up the street and then look for this. Then you would look for a physical structure. That's the thing about me. What's really incredible is so many years ago, I just had such a sixth sense of driving. I just had such a northwest, southeast. I always had this, I was very abreast, just kind of had a gut instinct of where I was going. And I was really good at that. My wife even tell you that I just always have had this natural instinct of where we're going for the most part, not all the time, but it's just from my driving around my whole career and just being places. And then I still remember for myself, I would remember landmarks that would help me get to the next point of where I'm going or where I'm going. It's just really incredible. But now, more than ever, we don't really use the landmarks as we're using our cars to navigate us to locations. And I think it really takes away from you paying that much more attention to the road. I mean, sadly, more than ever, I think more than ever, we are witnessing people drive down the road that aren't even driving anymore. It's so maddening in this area. It's really bad. People just drive down the road, and it's like, what are you, it's like, what are you doing? They're looking at their phone. It's beyond believable. And so I think that the navigation even takes away from the individual just the fact that you're not even cognizant of where you are, that you're just oblivious because you're just relying on the car to tell you where to go. I mean, there's tons of stories of people driving down roads that don't even exist per se, and driving off the cliff just about, or you plugged in the wrong destination and you don't even realize that till you get there. So wow, my printer is turned into like a robot this morning. This is so funny. It's like doing its own. It's like listening or something. Something's going on with it. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna turn it off. Something ain't right. I think it's got a brain of its own this morning. It needs direction, right? So I thought to myself, I was seeing myself in the car aspect. We now more than ever let the cars direct you and where to go. And I think to myself, boy, oh boy, isn't that so true of where we are in today's society? More than ever, that people look for direction. I mean, and we all have always looked for direction. But I think to myself, wow, more than ever, people go to these electronic devices and you look for direction. You look for information. And what I think about that is as we all know, there's so much misinformation and there's so much agenda behind the information you're looking for. And then what's incredible, when I listen to people talk, and I listen to people talk that are more liberal, independent, conservative, whatever it may be. And it's very interesting when you talk about a heated subject. And it's incredible on how they phrase their words from what they've heard others phrase their words. So it's just incredible on how we as individuals, the masters of deception, the political parties, the master of deception, how they word things so that you hear them differently, so it's a different message, even though it's just a point blank common sense of what's happened, but they'll twist the way they say it so that it makes you feel good on how you dislike an opposing view of the agenda, and where that you support the agenda and you like the way they present the way they word it. It's just incredible on how the direction of what the media machine does and the internet machine does, on how they word things to direct you on how you feel and think more than ever. So people today, more than ever, I think to myself, it seems like when I used to drive around my cars, I just kind of had like that sixth sense, common sense of where I was going and what kind of seemed to make sense, the direction I was pursuing, and how I'd get to another destination in my travel, just because of how there was north, south, west, east, and the way the road was going. I just kind of had a gut instinct and common sense seemed to kind of play out. And I think to myself, today, it seems like the gut instinct and the common sense has been thrown out the window for people that get caught up in our political environment that we're in more than ever in society, because the political agenda machine is attached to everything in the media that we're around, that's driven by. I mean, the Twitter files are exposing that more than ever. Just think about it. Who's behind Reddit, who's behind all these other social platforms. You already know that Zuckerberg, Zuckerberg guy is involved with political parties. He favored the Democratic Party, gave him like $400 million, $500 million. The list goes on and on and on. So these individuals, what political, powerhouses are behind these social platforms and all the other media content, the Washington Post. You just go through the list of companies that give you information that's all backed by the political agenda more than ever. And sadly, as I just spoke, people hear things the way they want to hear, and they know how to say things so that you like what you hear to progress their agenda. But what happened to the common sense? Just the common sense of, this just doesn't seem right. I mean, this just isn't right. Just like illegal immigration. You'll hear people support illegal immigration all day long, and you'll hear people that oppose it all day long. And, but when you hear the person that supports illegal immigration, they word it where they've heard the presentation from the political media machine that supports this, and they'll talk about how it's not really that big a deal. It's not that, it's not a big deal. You're talking about people who have been oppressed in other countries. They need to come here to get their freedoms, and they're not these devious, mean individuals that are going to undermine our country and be another militia, and they're not going to suck all the money out of this governing bodies for all the free entitlements. That's the conversations you get out of that. Versus the people who are concerned about illegal immigration, the common sense says to you, we're now taking on other governing bodies, citizens that can't afford to take care of them, and they're giving them to us because they know they can ride off of our system to pay for their problems. And then those governing bodies enrich themselves even more about having less of a society that was more of the people that rode off of their system than contributed. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all illegal immigrants are bad people and are all like that, but sadly, the other governing countries and bodies of the world are taking advantage of citizens leaving their country to thin out their obligations to take care of them, and that if they have more producers than non-producers, they're borderline ahead because their governing bodies have more money in the pot than having to give out. Versus our country, we're beyond believable in debt, beyond even serviceable for this country, but yet the governing bodies and the politicians continue to raise the debt limit and continue to borrow money at record sums, but we don't even put a dent in, they call the fiscal responsibility. Yeah, right. We have fiscal responsibility. Yeah, when the politicians actually know what that means. Most politicians don't even have a job. I mean, do most of these politicians ever even have a real job in their life? Do they actually ever have a day when they didn't get food on their table because they didn't get paid because they actually had to go to a real job? I mean, it's just beyond believable, these politicians. Yeah. Right there. So there's direction, right? So direction. Yeah, I get you some more coffee, right? Just now you got Joe Lieberman. Well, didn't he go independent for a while or something? Who did he run with? Who's that old fart, right? Yeah, who is he? I have no idea, right? I know who he is. Who he ran with on a ticket platform. Who was that? Was it Al Gore? I can't remember. Got an itch here. So anyways, yeah, so direction. So I think to myself, the direction, we've talked about how we've used the cars more than ever to direct us on how to get somewhere, but yet more than ever today, we use the technology we have in front of us to direct us for us to figure out what seems to make sense. And to me, it seems to me more than ever, we have a lot of people out there that just don't understand common sense. I mean, you can look at so many things that have happened just here in the last few years. You look at the pandemic. I mean, did anybody ever just kind of stop and think, does this make any sense? Does it make any sense? Did the mask really make any sense? I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not going to go down the deep rabbit hole and all that stuff. Does the vaccine really make any sense? Does the lockdowns really make any sense? I mean, look at China. I use China over and over again here recently, how they were locked down for, 2+ years. and their whole plan of everything being the way it was going to stop the virus from spreading. It didn't work. It didn't work. So now they've been forced to open up the country again, and probably 1 billion people now have the virus. And then it's just a numbers game. I said that to my wife. I said, well, when this virus hits, definitely 1 million people will die from it. She's like, 1 million people? I go, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. You're talking about the whole country. It's a numbers game. What's this country have? Like 375 million people? I mean, it's just a numbers game. That if you figure how many people are going to get the virus and then how many will die from it, I was like, you'll see 1 million people perish. And you know what? I don't even keep track of the numbers. I bet you my number's pretty close. I bet you we came pretty close to that number for all the people who got infected. I mean, so you're not here by any means making light of it, not by any means making the virus sound like it was, a lot of people are like, oh, it's not a real virus. I mean, I'm not, that isn't who I am. I'm just sharing that we had a lot of direction from others that people got so violently mad. New Zealand, look at the Prime Minister of New Zealand, that lady that's stepping down because she was just brutal. If you were an individual walking on the street without a mask on, you were tackled by the police and borderline locked up and kicked and just spit on and everything else. So her governing policies were so radical that so many people didn't believe that she had the answer to the virus that she took physical force and just literally that was the direction from her. And so they say at first she was the hero of the pandemic, but the hero went from hero to her just being a dictator of handling people. As we know, the virus thing. Oh my gosh! Whole point is direction. What direction are we going? What direction are we getting from? Look at Elon Musk. What direction is he going? Now, they're disclosing on how Elon intentionally sell off a lot of stock, knowing the dire straits of where Tesla's going. Yeah, there's now speculation. Why did Elon Musk sell so much stock? Because his company's underperforming so badly, and his stock has fallen by 68%. This is one of the worst S&P 500 stocks in the market last year. So what's the direction of Elon Musk? What was his thoughts in the direction of the car market? Elon is hammering his fist that the higher interest rates on cars is killing his business model. That's one of his excuses. Another is, what is the other one? I don't know. To me, the other one is, the reality is the EV market's getting more flooded, is getting more cars in the market to compete with Mr. Elon. I'd be willing to bet that's a thing. So for Elon Musk, he's been focused on Twitter. What direction is he going to take Twitter? Well, we've already seen it. His goal is to make it a free speech and more transparent than other social platforms. That's his goal. That's his saying, even though he admits that there's still the bot challenges. So that's not going to go away, he said. We'll try to manage it to best of our capability, but the bots will always be there. So the direction of Twitter, more free speech or more free hate, that's what the Liberal Party says, is that, it's the Twitter machine just going to be more the conservative hate base. They never talk about how they have a hate base, right? What is that all about, right? I don't know. So you think the direction of the automotive industry, where's the direction of the automotive industry going? There's a major article this morning saying that the increase of delinquent car payments is rising, and it's at the level we haven't seen since 2008, 2009. Ooh, that should be a little concerning. So they're saying the delinquency on car payments is growing, and the subprime delinquency, which means that people bought cars that never should have got a car. Yikes. Are they following me? They watching my channel? They talking about me? Yeah, what direction you going, Mr. Iceman? Right, so they're saying that it's even worse. So is the heyday of the car market industry really going to start to see its day in 2023? That blue truck I was talking about, that dually, that a limited F450, it's gone. So somebody literally bought that truck yesterday, which that's cool. That really wasn't, I'm just sharing. You watched my video yesterday. I just said, let's just go have some fun, see what they say. And it never got anywhere. And because the reality is the F-450 dualies for Ford side, dealer-wise, those things aren't a dime a dozen. Those are still kind of rare to get. So the reality is if there's one F-450 dually that's all kind of all built out to the max, and it's only one in a 200-mile radius, what do you think's going to happen? Yeah, well, there's only one, and there's plenty of other people out there that want it. So bing, bam, done, it's gone. But anyways, the car market direction, I don't know. They've been talking about the car market direction settling down, and is it really settling down? I just don't know. So another thing I want to bring up too was what's the direction of California with the reparations? If you're following that, just to give information, not here to be a racist individual, that isn't who I am, just sharing information and just trying to use common sense too. But so in California, Governor Gavin Newsom, he said that he's going to give it till July of this year to hear different views throughout the state of what could be a satisfactory reparations package for the black slaves. Meaning that anybody that's a black person in California that has ancestry directly related to slavery, they're going to get eventually a payout on reparations. I mean, I think it will. I feel very confident that will happen. I think that in California, it'll probably go down. And so what they're talking, so you hear these stories. So in San Francisco, the reparations meetings are the language of $5 million. So if you live in San Francisco, and this is interesting, I don't know how it's all going to play out. Is California going to make it where each locality gets to have its own package for individuals? Or is it going to be just one rule for the whole state? But in San Francisco, there's people that are showing up in these town hall meetings, and I guess, in the court, wherever they have their public meetings, and the conversations are talking $5 million. So that, wow. I think to myself, wow, that's $5 million net. They don't tax it. Wow. You go win the lotto and win $10 million, you get like $5 million. You're a business owner and you make $10 million, you're going to net about $5 million. You're going to give up half of it to the IRS, basically. People think, no, you're not. Yeah, you will. Yeah. Governing bodies want more and more of your tax money. So, wow. So how about that idea? So I just wonder, how does that, and when they did a poll, and so it shows that the black community, obviously, feels very strongly about this being done, but then it shows the white community where like 87% of the people, reject it. So it's like a huge separation of what makes sense. And you can imagine if you're just a good old person that goes to work every day of your life and you've never had anything handed to you and you look like me, and then you got a next door neighbor that, maybe they went to work every day of their life, or maybe they've actually worked harder than you did in your whole life. I have no idea. I'm just giving a scenario. And you find out that your next door neighbor, who is black, he just got a $5 million check from the state of California because he's black. I don't know. How would you as an individual take that as far as thinking, would you think that's fair? Let's twist it. What if the white people got all the money and the black people didn't get all the money? How would that go down? I can guarantee the riot in the streets would be happening as fast as hell. Rightfully so. But the whole point is, boy, you talk about wanting to divide this country and race divisions even more. I think if the state of California does that, wow. Does it make any sense? Does it? And what I think to myself is, so for a guy like LeBron James, what's LeBron James worth? What's he worth? I don't know. What's you can go through all of the incredibly Chris Rock, Kevin Hart. I'm just thinking off the tip of my tongue of incredibly successful black people. That have Will Smith, Jamie Foxx, Serena Williams. Just off the tip of my tongue. that have made so much money. Where's their compassion for them giving back all their monies to help the black community if the black community's been that in modern times racial division that they've been taking away their opportunity. And once again, I'm not here as an individual making light of the situation. I'm just asking ideas of what makes any sense. And here's our question. I don't know. So I'm not here to say that I'm a person that is against anybody's color. That's not what I'm trying to convey. What I'm trying to convey is for common sense. So here's a question. For the governing bodies of this country, who gets the most economic support through government entitlements? Is it my color? Is it black? Is it Hispanic? Is it Asian? Is it Middle Eastern? I mean, what ethnic group gets the most entitlement out of governing policies and government entitlement? So the reason I bring that up is if it is the black community, well, aren't the reparations already in so many ways even being kind of helped that our country, the love of our country feels for others, and the government bodies have set up programs to help those that are more challenged and they feel like they've been racially discriminated against? I don't know. I mean, these are just ideas. So, when a person gets a $5 million check, for me, I'm going to scratch my head and go, but haven't our governing bodies already for the inner cities in our country been appeasing the black community to try to help them? Is that right or wrong? I don't know. And once again, this is not about me being a person that picks and chooses who I like and don't like. It isn't. It's just common sense conversations. And that's where I think that, do people want to raise their hand and talk about that? I mean, or do people? But that's the thing. The goal of the liberal media machine and the socialist regime is to silence you, is to punish you for your thoughts and ideas. Just like me, somebody could get radical and want to tarnish me for that conversation. And I'd be thinking, yeah, but this is tax dollars from people that go to work every day. So if these are tax dollars that are being given to somebody else, shouldn't you as a tax-paying citizen have a right to express your view? And here's the thing. If I don't have the right to express my view, then I think that I shouldn't have to pay tax. Then I shouldn't have to contribute to this fund for reparations. So if that's your position, then my position is I don't need to participate. And I have no problem with that then. I'm out. Don't include my money in it and put my money somewhere else. I mean, so, that's easy to handle, right? Yeah, but it won't happen. All right, everybody, it gets a little racist, it gets a little political, but at the same time, this is the goal of the media machine of directions in this country. They don't want us to talk about it. They want to tell you what to do by giving you directions. Yeah, more than ever, people aren't connecting the dots. People are being given directions. The media machine understands how to give you directions and how you comply and follow. And that's what we've witnessed more than ever in our modern times. And look at politicians. Look at Kamala Harris. She talks down to you. She does not know how to talk. That woman has no clue on how to have a conversation. She points her finger. You watch her when she talks. She points her finger at people and she talks down to you. That's not a public servant. That's a I'm not going to get into that. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching my channel. And what are you doing today? Working. I got to get to work. I'm running out of time. Jeez, it's already too late in the morning for me talking. Yeah, but it's a little longer than usual. So everybody, I hope my direction helped you today. And thanks for watching my channel. Thanks for nice comments. And stay safe, stay tuned, and God bless. Have a great day.